Victory Monday, Brownies, let's go. The reason why Victory Monday tastes so good is because it's better than Depression Monday, which follows after losing on Sunday. It's almost like it hurts way more to lose than it feels to win, if that makes some level of sense to anyone. But let's get through the takeaways from this game, along with some injury updates as well. So a lot to get to on today's episode, but let's start with the main attraction, Deshaun Watson. Major improvement from Watson. And I'm just going to note that I do find it somewhat interesting that after a strong showing from Deshaun Watson, completing 64% of his passes, 186 yards, adding one rushing touchdown on the ground, people were a lot less loud on social media about moving on from him because of his pending lawsuit. It just seems a little convenient to me that some people are using the lawsuit to move on from him when he's bad, but not say anything when he's playing well. And I just find that to be a bit, hypocritical. Like, state your opinion and stick with it. But anyway, Deshaun Watson delivered a very much needed bounce back game from the Browns. Cleveland just needed to get better quarterback play. I identified a handful of issues from week one, and some of them were fixed. And I think the number of things that were fixed and the way they were fixed reflected on the scoreboard. Like an 18-13 win is not some blowout dominating victory because the Browns didn't fix all of their issues from week one. Wink, wink, the penalties. But they did fix Deshaun Watson, or at least made a big stride forward in fixing Deshaun Watson as he improved mightily from week one. He was way better with the football to start with. Then we saw more of the vintage Deshaun Watson, right? The quarterback who would extend plays and then use that howitzer of a right arm to just zip the ball into a tight window on a rope to a spot where only his receiver could get it. And that receiver happened to be Jeudy more often than not. So it's great to see those two develop a chemistry because hopefully that can develop into a long-term chemistry for years to come with the Browns already extending Jeudy before he even stepped foot on the field this season. But yeah, safe to say Deshaun Watson was much better in week two. That's not new information for anyone, but it was exactly what the Browns needed. It could not have gone, I wouldn't say it couldn't have gone any better because, of course, you can throw for more yards and throw for touchdowns, but still, Watson looked a lot sharper and a lot better. And it also just goes to show that, Deshaun Watson historically does not get off to very strong starts in his career, and we saw that in week one, and now we're seeing the improvement in week two, which is all you could ask for from week one to week two. So how would you grade Deshaun Watson's week two performance? Give me an A, B, C, D, or F in the comments. I'll give him a B. I don't think it was an A performance, but there were some really great plays from him. The one to David Bell, which moved him into the goal line. The one to Jerry Jeudy on the right sideline. The one to Jerry Jeudy deep down the left sideline. He had some really good throws. He had some vintage Deshaun Watson plays. He showed this fan base and this coaching staff, I'm the guy that you gave up all those draft picks for and gave out a huge contract for. At least he showed us more of that than we have seen in recent memory. Now, let's talk about Jerry Jeudy, because in week two, I thought he was magnificent. Like Jerry Jeudy, 6 targets, 5 grabs, 73 yards, 1 touchdown in week one. Jerry Jeudy, I would say, through 2 weeks, is the only player on offense that I have not, cursed their name under my breath at some point. He's the only guy that has avoided everyone's shit list so far. So far in 2 games, 8 grabs, 98 yards, 1 touchdown. Jerry Jeudy is starting to really click and thrive in the Browns system. And it's awesome to see the Browns pull off a trade for someone and then immediately utilize that player and get the most out of them. I don't think there's, not that there's nothing more frustrating, but one of the more frustrating things is when a team goes out and signs a player, trades for a player, drafts a player, and then does not utilize their skill set. The Browns identified Jerry Jeudy's skill set, and they are tapping into it. Now, next up on the show, we're going to talk about what the Browns need to fix going into week 3 against the Giants, because it's not all sunshine and roses after that win against the Jags, and we're also going to check out some injury updates following week 2. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today, which is Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Game Time is their all-in pricing option. Toggling this feature shows you the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. If you guys remember this time last week, we were talking about what the Browns need to fix going into week 2. And the first thing I pointed to were the penalties. Now, they fixed number 2 and somewhat number 3 on my list. And that got them a 5-point victory. But if they want to beat really good teams on the road at home, they got to fix all 3. And that includes penalties. The Browns so far have 24 penalties in 2 weeks. That is first in the NFL, and not in a good way. And it's not even close. Second is 19. They've got first place all to themselves. 11 penalties, 13 penalties. It needs to be corrected. Penalties appear to be the 2024 Browns version of turnovers in 2023, where this team is super talented, and they're going to overcome a lot of self-inflicted wounds, but it's going to hold them back from their full potential. And last year, we never saw the Browns fix the turnovers. They just sort of put up with it, right? They just sort of had this nagging pain that they never really got rid of, but because they were so talented, they were able to eke out, they were able to get to 11 wins. This year, it appears they elected to go down the penalty route because the turnovers have not plagued them so far through 2 weeks. But the penalties, you could argue, I would say completely cost them week 1, but played a factor and nearly cost them week 2. I mean, it was put on full display. Deontay Foreman, face mask. Instead of a great first down run, Browns go 15 yards back. And then holding calls on Petonio and Teller. It knocks them out of field goal range altogether. If not for an Alex Wright safety, if Trevor Lawrence marches down that field and puts up a touchdown and wins the game, people are going to be upset about the defense on that drive. But what they're going to gloss over is, why was the defense put in that position to begin with? Because of the offensive penalties. So thank you, Alex Wright, for covering up those bad offensive penalties. But the Browns, voice crack. The Browns need to stop doing this to themselves. It is priority number 1, week 3 against the Giants. Eliminate the penalties. Now, some injury news to get to. David Bell, unfortunately, is lost for the season. He suffered a fractured hip in the Jags game. He was carted off the field. Stefanski said that Bell will require surgery and is likely done for the year. Obviously, it's a bummer to see anyone go down with a season-ending injury, especially David Bell, who was somewhat fighting for a roster spot. He lost his spot on the 53-man roster, went down to the practice squad, came back up, and he starts to have, I think, a pretty good game against Jacksonville, kind of building off where he left off last year, Week 18 against the Bengals, and now it's all over, and he's got to go back to square one. So it's a big bummer for Bell. Hope he makes a full recovery, and this is not going to be something he can't overcome. Jack Conklin. So no real, I wouldn't say real update. Stefanski talked about Conklin and Jedrick Wills and said they're both possibilities to play on Sunday. It feels like Conklin is a lot closer, though, because Stefanski said Conklin was very close to playing on Sunday. So my intuition tells me if you were close to playing on Sunday in week 2, give your body and your knees 7 more days. That should put you in a good spot to play week 3. So I'm somewhat optimistic that we'll see Jack Conklin play week 3. Still not so optimistic on Jedrick Wills, but hopefully that improves this week in practice. But definitely something to watch for. It feels like Conklin could be back and starting at left tackle as early as this Sunday against Brian Burns and the Giants. Pierre Strong Jr., he is dealing with a hamstring injury. Sounds like this could be a week-to-week type of injury, so don't hold out hope for getting him back super soon, but From what I've seen, it doesn't look like he's going to injured reserve and out for the next 4 weeks, but they'll definitely miss him on special teams. And then Okoronkwo, he was entered into concussion protocol. He cleared concussion protocol, so he's definitely in a good spot to go out and play in week 3 against the G-Men. So that's the injury roundup, along with a little bit of Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett. Denzel Ward suffered a shoulder injury. He only played 11, 12 snaps on Sunday. We saw a lot of Cam Mitchell, so we'll keep an eye on Denzel Ward for you during practice this week. Myles Garrett did not get his usual allotment of snaps. He played about 65% of the game. I mean, he's still Myles Garrett, so of course he had a strip sack, which, by the way, strip sacks in back-to-back weeks, and you don't recover either one. And Martin Emerson and Denzel Ward dropping a couple of surefire interceptions, and they play Daniel Jones and the Giants this week. I smell major turnover luck swinging back in the Browns' direction against the G-Men on Sunday. So keep an eye on that. But if you enjoy your Victory Monday, drop a W for me in the chat. The Browns are in the win column. They avoid the cellar of the AFC North, which is occupied by two tenants splitting rent, the Ravens and the Bengals, a couple of winless teams right now, which is not good for how competitive the AFC is. So for me, a win is a win. It wasn't the greatest win I've ever seen, but to go on the road, come out with a 5-point victory, you can do a lot worse than the Browns did on Sunday, so I'll take it. Now, before we sign off, hit me up on Twitter. I'm trying to grow my Twitter platform. So if you ever want to talk Brownies over there, feel free to DM me, tweet me. I always respond at Matthew Petey. Always appreciate those of you that follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you all later.